I want to show you how we cut dovetails, and this is what we call a common dovetail. You may have seen these before. This seems to be the signature of fine woodworking, fine joinery. We use it on boxes, drawers, all manner of things, and it's the premier joint really. It's the one that we rely on because of its intrinsic strength and its longevity. I've got two pieces of wood. I'm going to make a single joint on this corner. That means I'm going to lay out first and show you how we lay out. I've got two pieces of wood, the different thicknesses. That means that the dovetails will be long on this piece and the depth will be shallow on this piece. So I establish my depth by using the actual piece of wood. I put my fingers on the outside to get the exact distance, so I move the piece of wood until it's exactly flush. Then I go to a pencil line here, make a pencil line. Slide the other one on its side, do the same on this one. Flush it with the outside with your fingertips, and that will be very accurate. Make a pencil line. Now we're going to do some measuring. We're going to work in imperial. We could do it in metric. If you want to do it in metric, we would come in, I'm coming in 3/8 of an inch from the outside edge here. That's 10 millimeters. And the same on this side, 3/8, 10 mil. And then we split the distance here. So I've got 2 7/8 on here. So that means I've got 1 7/16 to the middle. And then I'm going to go 3/16 on either side. And you will have to do your own maths on that. So I've got my distance, so this is 3/8, 3/8, and 3/8. I'm going to go to what we call a dovetail template. This has the angles that I want to, you see here we've got this angle here and here, so they're not square. So we've got those angles, those are 1 in 7, and we rely on that constantly. That's what's on here. So I lay this on the edge, the corner of the piece of wood here, pull my pencil line here, then watch what happens now. I flip over and I go to the next pencil line right on the corner, and this has to be done accurately. Flip over again and go to, miss that middle line because that's not part of it, and then flip over for the last one here. And we have our dovetails laid out. So these two dovetails will be exactly the same size. This is 3/8, this is 3/8, this is 3/8. On the top here, I'm going to go in my vise here first because I want this extra hand here. This end of the dovetail template is a square, so I can put this onto my piece of wood and get my square lines across the end grain here. Like this. One more. And we're going to remove this bit, and this bit. So we'll mark it on there as well. Once you've done this 100 times, you won't need to mark these X's on there. You'll know exactly where to cut. So I'm going to make a saw curve down the long grain on each of these angled dovetails, using a tenon saw. This is a brass backed saw. It could be steel backed. It's a dovetail saw because of its length. It's only 10 inches. And when you're using this saw, you use this so lightly. You really want to let the teeth just kiss the surface of the wood. So here, and follow that line as closely as you possibly can. When you get down the line, you don't go to the bottom line, you go about 2 millimeters above that line, 1 to 2 millimeters. Same on that one, on all of these cuts. A good sharp saw, sharp pencil. Everything has to be sharp because accuracy is so critical to what we're doing here. Of course, accuracy involves the amount of pressure you apply to the saw, the direction of the saw. your eyesight, lining everything up, accuracy, accurate comes from the word accurate, which is where we get this care from. We won't care when we're working. I'm going to switch to the knife here now. I've got my saw kerf in here. I stop just above the line here. And now I've got to make a knife wall in between these saw kerfs. I'm going to slide up here, but I'm going to check this, put my block of wood, and I push this, just nudge it until it's dead flush to the outside. It's dead flush now. Take your knife, and on the parts marked with an X, make a knife wall like this. Stand it on the end, drop your knife into the knife wall and slide the square up to it. So into the knife wall, slide up, make the knife wall across the end, flip your square over so this is registered against the same edge. That guarantees everything will line up when you pass your last knife wall. So in between again, between the saw kerfs, and into that last nick here, like that. Light pass at first, then you can go as heavy as you like. So we've got the knife walls. I'm going to reach for a coping saw. Yeah. Drop this into that kerf there. These outside ones we're going to cut with the tenon saw, but this one we want to make a turn on here, near to but above the line. Listen to the cut, listen. It changes pitch. This is where we reach for a chisel. We've got the knife wall there, so we're going to just slice into that knife wall there. And the same on this side, so let me make sure you can see this one. So we're about maybe 3 or 4 mil, about 1/8 of an inch from that line, and we just rock the chisel, flick that, and it'll give you a recess to put your saw into. Put the finger on the side of the saw plate. And follow the line as closely as possible. Listen to the sound. And you keep going until you hear the difference in the pitch as you saw. Listen to it this time. So finger or thumb on the side of the plate, just to nudge the saw up to the cut. Now this is going to go. So listen for the change. We're anticipating that the whole time. Because this is a saw cut, the ends of the fibres are still sticking up ever so slightly. It's slightly fuzzy on the surface, so we take a very sharp chisel and we push it along the surface as if we're shaving that surface with a razor. Same on this one. Make sure you sharpen your chisels up before you start cutting dovetails, because it makes all the difference. I've got this midsection here to take down yet, and for that we have to chop. So I'm picking my chisel size. I've got a 5/8 chisel, which is a little bit too big, so I go with a 1/2 inch. I'm going to chisel down the knife wall just a little bit here, just to give a recess for the chisel to slide up against, like that. Flip over, same again. That helps me register the chisel here right in against that knife wall. So once it's in, register it with a slight tap like that. My fingers are down at the bottom to keep registration, and I get more sensitivity. Chop, go down about halfway down, halfway through the wood. Can you see where I'm right in here? So I've gone down about halfway, it's not critical, and the rest of the cut comes from the opposite side. This registration against the knife wall is critical. So I've choked up on my chisel here so I don't go all the way through to the other side and to the bench top. This goes in the vise. Choke up on your chisel again here. That means you grip it here. You can't grip it here, near to the edge. And that stops you from sliding all the way through uncontrollably, like I just did. Now we're going to put this one in the vise. So this, you can see now, this goes to the same depth as this piece of wood. So what we really just did is we created a template or a pattern, and we can draw around that. Now, if I draw this side, you can't see it, so I'm going to turn around. This isn't my normal way of doing it, but I'm going to do it so you can see. This goes right up. So the important point is this shoulder line here has to line up perfectly. So I'm going to run my pencil line across that corner. Notice I just do one line because I don't want a thick line, I just want a thin line. Go to your template again and make this square aspect of the line down. This is going to be square, not angled. Here, like this. And we have to remove this bit, here and here. So that means we have to cut on the inside of these lines because we cut on what we call the waste side of the wood. Finger up again or thumb against the side of the plate again. Start on the back edge and drop your hand towards the front edge, this side of where I am. Same on this one. This side too. So I stop and I look to see if I'm on the line. Feels good. Even pressure on the saw. Move your body, make sure you're aligning everything, your arm, your shoulder, wrist. We're done with that saw now. What we're going to do now is bring the square back in. Square is so important in this. Flush this outside edge with the surface of the end grain. And right in between the saw curves this time. This is important, this next bit here. So I go lightly and then I can go as heavily as I like. Once I've made that initial line, it works like a ploughed groove. Watch what happens here. I'm going to make a knife nick on the corner. Stand it up, put the knife into the nick, slide up to it and put another nick on this side, drop it down, and then my knife goes into the nick and I go across those two inside, what we're going to call the tail recesses. This is the part we're going to remove. And I go back to my coping saw. Just like this. Make that turn as early as you possibly can, but stay above your line. It takes a lot of force to effect that turn. Once you've done it, it's fine. And my coping saw is cutting on the thrust cut, not the pull cut, which is opposite to what most people have it set. I'm going to go with a 3/4 inch chisel, if I have one. There it is. And I go right in here. Now you can make that recess as I did before. I'm going to go straight for it here. So go down again, about halfway. I'm angling my chisel over to follow the rake of the dovetail this time. And I'll show you what I mean. So get that, just pop that line to get it started. So when I say I'm angling it, see here, this is following roughly the rake of the dovetail cut. That's important so you're not cutting into the side of the dovetail. Go on to the conclusion of this one. Now I'm going to have to go to a smaller chisel, a 1/2 inch would work fine. So I'm going right into the knife wall again. Follow the rake. We are just about done. So there I've got my recess cut. I just have a little bit of clean up to do, just to clean out the inside corners just a hair to make sure there are no high spots in here. Now another little trick I'm going to pass on, which probably most people wouldn't know about unless they've watched my videos, is on this piece. This piece now should register close to and be self-supporting. It's very close. It's close enough for me not to worry. Right on the inside, this is the inside edge, not the outside edge. I take my chisel, choke up on it, and I peel off just a corner to give a leading edge to the joint. Here, here. So this is not visible after we've done this. Then, hopefully, this goes in here and we can press it. That's a little tight, but not too tight. Let me put this your way. I'm going to just ease up a little bit on this here. Can you see right, I don't know whether you can, you may not be able to, but inside here there's a little bit of bruising and there's a little bit of darker material here. That's bruising, that's compression of the wood. So I'm going to use that to guide my chisel cut here, just like this. Same on this side, because I know that this is just a little bit tight from that initial presenting the part to it. Clean up your inside corner. And hopefully this time you have a little bit of fettling to do, just like that. This now becomes a dovetail joint that is designed to last for probably 150 to 200 years. The thing that will go wrong with it is the glue may break down, but then you re-glue it and it goes for another 150 years. Use your plane as an eraser to get rid of the pencil lines. See 4 of those and you have a box, a drawer, and I think I can say that's how we cut a dovetail joint. It's quite simple. Follow the order, follow the method, and you will be making dovetails for the rest of your life.